All right, chapter 13 of 2 Samuel, Old Testament studies here. We're in chapter 13 of 2 Samuel. And, well, this chapter ought to be rated R at least, I guess. Interesting thing about the Bible, I guess one of the ways we know that God's involved in the Bible is if it was simply men writing about our heroes of the faith, we'd leave the bad stuff out. But boy, the Holy Spirit puts it right here on the pages for all of eternity. And that's how long the Word of God will last, for all of eternity. And this is a very, very sordid affair concerning two of David's sons. And the main character tonight is by the name of Amnon. And Amnon, we would say he was just a sicko. But he gets the hots for his half-sister. And, well, I'm getting ahead. Let's take off here. You can't turn it off now, can you? You've got this for you. You've got to see what's going on. Chapter 13, verse 1. It came to pass after this that Absalom, who was the son of David, had a fair sister. Absalom had a beautiful sister. Her name was Tamar. They was full brothers and sisters, Absalom and Tamar. And they had a half-brother, same daddy, King David, but different mamas. Remember, David had lots of wives and concubines, as kings did back in that day. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. Now, he fell in love or lust after her or something here, and it was his half-sister. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister. He was lovesick, Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. He wanted her so bad, but he knew it wasn't right because he knew that was his half-sister, and he was just all tore up about it. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab. And Jonadab, he was the son of Shimei, David's brother. So I guess that means he's his cousin, Amnon's cousin, right? And Jonadab was a very subtle man. We'd say today, that's a crafty dude. The devil's more subtle than any beast of the field. So Jonadab's kind of like that. He's subtle. He can figure things out in a sly way. Verse 4, and he said unto him, Jonadab speaking now to Amnon, why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? You ain't eating? What's wrong with you? Will you not tell me? And Amnon said to him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. It's funny, he's willing to call Absalom his brother, but Tamar, he said, that's my brother's sister. And both of them was half-brother and half-sister to him. So Jonadab said unto him, he's coming up with a plan now, verse 5, old subtle Jonadab. Jonadab said unto him, lay thee down on your bed and make yourself sick. Go to bed and pretend like you're sick. And when your father comes to see thee, he's going to hear that you're sick, and the king will come and say, what's wrong with you, son? And you tell him this. Say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight that I can see it and eat it at her hand. Have my sister come and feed me. I'm really sick, Dad. Let Tamar come and feed me. So Amnon, verse 6, he lay down and he made himself sick. He acted like he was sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said to the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come to make it my life. So then David, verse 7, sent home to Tamar. He sends a message to Tamar saying, go now to your brother Amnon's house and dress him meat. He's sick. Sister, you come over and take care of your brother and feed him here. So Tamar, she went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and she made cakes in his sight, and she baked the cakes, and she took a pan and poured them out before him. He's watching her fix a meal. But then he refused to eat. He's going to pretend like he's too sick or something. So Amnon said, have all the men go out from me. I need some privacy here. Maybe I can eat. And they went out, every man from him. So he's getting her along. And Amnon said to Tamar, bring the meat or the food into the bed. Come and feed me in my bed. Maybe I can eat in my bed. Bring that into the bedchamber, that I can eat of your hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she made, and she brought them to the chamber to Amnon, her brother. And when she had brought them for him to eat, he took hold of her. He grabbed her. He caught her. And he said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. And she answered and said, Nay, my brother. Remember, no means no. Nay, my brother, do not force me, or don't you rape me. Don't force me. For no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not this folly, this shameful foolishness. Are you crazy? She said. Nothing should ever be done like that. We're half brother, half sister. And if it does happen, she's saying, try to think about this. Even if it happens, think what's going to happen then. Whither shall I cause my shame to go? If that ever happened, where would I go? I would be so shamed. And as for thee, you'll be as one of the fools. Think about your future too. If something like this happened and people found out that you raped your half-sister, or anybody really, right? Verse 14. Howbeit he would not hearken. Amnon wouldn't listen to her voice. But he, being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. So he raped his half-sister. Boy, you wouldn't think stuff like this be in the Bible, would you? King David's children. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly. Which that's the thing about lust. Lust will often turn to hatred later on, but the Bible says true love never fails. Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherein he hated her was greater than the love he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, Arise, be gone, get out of here. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil and sending me away is greater than the other you did to me. But he wouldn't listen to her. Then he called his servant that ministered to him, and he said, Put now this woman out from me and lock the door behind her. Bolt the door after her. And Tamar, she had a garment of divers colors, a very colorful dress that she wore upon her, because that's how kings' little girls dressed. With such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and he bolted the door after her. He threw her out and locked the door after her. And Tamar, she goes out in public, and she's symbolically showing what's going on inside of her. She's mourning and she's grieving. Tamar put ashes on her head. She tore her dress. When you was tore up on the inside, that's what they did in the Old Testament, right? They tore their clothes to show on the outside. She rent her garment of divers colors that was on her. And she laid her hand on her head, and she went on crying. She wouldn't stop crying. And Absalom, her brother, not to be confused with Amnon, the rapist, but her true full brother Absalom now, he said unto her, he found out what's going on. See, hath Amnon your brother been with thee? But hold now, be quiet. He said, hold your peace, be quiet, sister. He's your brother. This is our family. We don't want this getting out, right? Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. She lived with her full brother Absalom. She kept quiet about it after a while. But then old King David found out about what's going on in the family here. When King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. He got mad. He was angry. And as angry and as wroth as he was, it don't look like he did anything. He was just kind of got mad about it and didn't delve out any punishment to Amnon or anything. And that led to more problems. He didn't hold him accountable. And that's what happens with sin. It starts spreading and it keeps creeping along. It affects all kinds of people. So because David didn't, as Barney would say, Barney Fife, nip it in the bud, take care of this now, he kind of swept it under the rug too and just hoped it wouldn't happen again. And it caused all this other stuff that's about to happen in the rest of this chapter. David was mad, verse 21. 22, Absalom spake to his brother Amnon. He spake to him neither good nor bad. That means he quit talking to him, I guess. He spake unto his brother Amnon neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon because he had forced his sister Tamar. He hated him for this. And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom, he's been fuming, this has been smoldering, this root of bitterness in him. He's trying to figure out he's going to get him one of these days. So after 2 years have gone by, Absalom, he had the sheep shearers at Baal Hazor, which is beside Ephraim. And it was sheep shearing time, so he invited all the king's sons out. We're going to have a big family party at sheep shearing time. And Absalom came to the king, and he said to King David, he said, "Behold, now thy servant has the sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. Let's have the whole family out." And the king said to Absalom, "Nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. We'll be too much of a burden. We're a big family. You can't have us all out there." And Absalom, he pressed him, albeit David wouldn't go. He would not go. But he blessed him, said, "You all go and have a good time. I'm not going to make it." 26. Then said Absalom, if you're not going to make it, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. Tell Amnon I want him to come." And the king, I think David was a little suspicious here. He said, "Why should he go with thee?" But Absalom pressed him. He kept on. And David was probably hoping, well, I hope we've got this behind us. We can go on now as a family. So Absalom pressed him that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, "Mark ye now, when Amnon's heart's merry with wine, let's get all the wine in Amnon that we can. And when he's pretty well lit, I want you to kill him. Smite Amnon, kill him. And fear not, I've commanded thee, be courageous and be valiant. Remember, I'm the king's son. I've told you to do this new work for me. Don't worry about it. You just kill him. I'll take care of it." And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him upon his mule and fled. Once the murder had taken place, everybody run off. And it came to pass while they were in the way that tidings came to David. News travels fast. David's back at the palace. He's got news. Boy, you should have seen what happened out there at Absalom's party. But the fake news ain't new either. There was fake news in David's time. The news he first got back said, "All your boys are dead," saying Absalom's slain all the king's sons. Absalom's killed every brother he's got. It's fake news. He just killed Amnon. And there's not one of them left. Then the king arose, and he tare his garments, and he lay on the earth, and all of his servants stood by with their clothes rent. He was there praying, I guess. And Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother, answered and said, "That's not true. Let not my lord suppose that they've slain all the young men of the king's sons. For Amnon only is dead." You've just lost one boy today. "For by the appointment of Absalom has this been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar." Absalom's had murder in his heart since that happened. It's premeditated the day he carried it out. "Now therefore let not my lord the king take this thing to his heart." See, David should have taken care of this a long time ago. He had the authority to do so, but he indulged it. "Now therefore let not my lord the king take this thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon's only one dead." But Absalom fled. He thought, I can't stay around here now. Daddy's liable to kill me. Absalom fled. And the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said to the king, "Behold, the king's sons come. As thy servant said, so it is. See here, they're not dead." And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. Everybody's all tore up about what happened in the family today. And the king also, and all his servants, everybody was crying and weeping. But Absalom ran off. He fled, and he went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, the king of Geshur. Now, this is some of his mama's people. He went to his mama's people. Remember, that he had a different mama than Absalom and Tamar did. So he's going there to hide out for a while to be protected. And David mourned for his son every day. He missed him as time went on. Absalom fled, and he went to Geshur, and he was there for 3 years. Remember, the 3 points of sin from the old yesterday is still true today too. That sin will take you farther than you meant to go. It'll cost you more than you want to pay, and it'll keep you longer than you want to stay. Now his sin and all this stuff's carried him off. He's gone from his daddy and David for 3 years now, And David misses it. I think Absalom was kind of David's favorite son. And you don't seem like he mourned too much for Amnon. He deserved what he got, I guess, justice. But David really did miss old Absalom. The soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. And that last verse sets the stage for what we're about to study, the rest of it here, when Absalom returns, and we'll keep up with that. See you next week.